The marble floors of the Royal Meridian Hotel gleamed under the weight of secrets. That night, the lobby lights flickered. Not enough for anyone to panic, but enough to send a chill through the air. A convoy of black SUVs screeched to a halt outside, and the most feared billionaire in East Asia stepped through the revolving doors. He was small, quiet, gray-haired, but the men who shadowed him looked like they had killed for less. He began speaking rapidly, sharp, urgent Japanese, but not a single person in the room could understand him. Confusion thickened. His guards grew restless. One reached inside his coat. Guests froze. Managers panicked. Security hovered. And then, from the far corner where no one was paying attention, a young black maid carrying a stack of towels stepped forward. Her voice was low, steady, and fluent.
Sumimasen, gokakunin yanani o osagasi desu ka?
Excuse me, sir. What are you looking for? Everything and everyone stopped. Before we continue, click subscribe, like this video, and comment what time it is that you're watching this video. Your support helps us bring more wonderful stories, and trust me, you won't want to miss them. Now, let's get back to the stories. Adana Cole had been invisible most of her life. At 19, she worked as a housekeeping maid at the Royal Meridian, Nigeria's most expensive, most politically connected hotel. Her shifts were long, her pay was poor, and her dignity was often bruised by guests who treated her like part of the furniture. They never asked where she learned the perfect posture she carried. They never asked why she bowed subtly before entering a room. They never asked why she whispered phrases under her breath as she worked. They didn't care. But she remembered. She remembered Hokkaido. Snow crunching beneath her boots, lantern festivals, the Zen garden behind the school she attended for a single semester before her mother died. She remembered the woman who had taken her in, a Japanese nurse named Hannah who taught her the language, the culture, the grace. Adana kept those memories close, hidden deep under the uniform and apron. To everyone at the hotel, she was simply the black maid with the quick hands. Nothing more. But that night, the night the Japanese billionaire arrived, her entire past snapped open like a door she never expected to use again. It began like a tremor, a hush, a shift in the air, a sudden stiffening of the managers' faces. "Move!" one whispered harshly, pushing staff into neat rows. Adana stood near the elevator, clutching towels, as armored-looking men stepped inside. They scanned the room with surgical precision. Their suits were dark, their expressions darker. Then he entered, Mr. Kenjiro Takayama, one of Asia's most powerful men. But something was wrong. He was breathing too fast, looking too sharply over his shoulder. His hand shook as he spoke in rapid Japanese, pointing toward the upper floors. Staff stared blankly. A manager attempted English. Security attempted broken Japanese. A receptionist tried using a translation app. Nothing worked. Takayama grew more agitated, and his bodyguards grew more threatening. Then he said something that froze Adana's blood. "They have her. They took my daughter." She hadn't spoken Japanese in years, but she heard every syllable perfectly. Her heart hammered. "No, not this. Not again. I left all this behind." But when a bodyguard placed a hand on his gun, Adana dropped the towels and stepped forward. "Sir," she said softly in Japanese, bowing, "please tell me what happened." Every man in the room turned toward her, shocked, suspicious, stunned. Takayama's breath caught. You speak," he whispered. "Yes," she responded. "Tell me who took your daughter." He swallowed, trembling, and then he said, "She disappeared in this hotel." The hotel erupted into chaos. Managers stuttered as Takayama barked orders through Adana. Guards ran. Doors slammed. Cameras were checked. But the billionaire's daughter, Aiko Takayama, age 10, had vanished without a trace. She had last been seen entering the hotel with her father. A few minutes later, she was gone. No one saw her leave. No camera captured her exit. No staff reported interacting with her. It was as if she dissolved into the air. Why Adana became the key. Takayama refused to speak to anyone except her. Not the manager. Not the chief of security. Not the police. Only her. Because she was the only one who understood him fully, the urgency, the subtleties. And because Adana asked the one question no one else thought to ask. Sir, before she disappeared, did Aiko behave strangely? Did she receive anything unusual? Takayama's face darkened. He opened his trembling hand. Inside was a folded piece of hotel stationery, Aiko's handwriting on it. Only 2 words. Kuro Yuriai, the black ghost. Adana went ice cold. She knew that term. She had heard it whispered during her childhood in Hokkaido. A Japanese urban legend. A shadow said to haunt structures where great injustice took place. An entity that lured children by calling them softly, gently, until they followed. A creature that only abducted those who sensed loneliness. Adana's knees weakened. Not because she believed in ghosts, but because she knew the legend hid a darker truth. It wasn't a supernatural spirit. It was a person, a human trafficker, a kidnapper who moved silently, using hotel staff tunnels and blind camera zones, always leaving the same calling card. Aiko knew the term? Adana whispered. Yes, Takayama said. She asked me once. She asked what happens to children who follow the black ghost. Adana shut her eyes, swallowing hard. This wasn't a legend. This was a predator. And he was inside the hotel. Adana cleared all staff from the hall and leaned toward Takayama. Sir, with your permission, I need access to the lower levels of the hotel, the service corridors. Takayama nodded immediately. Security protested. She's a maid. She can't wander the restricted areas. This is not protocol. But Takayama silenced them with a single gesture. Take me, he whispered to Adana. And so she did. Down the staff elevator. Through narrow hallways. Past laundry rooms buzzing with machines. Deeper where the polished marble gave way to dim concrete. Adana led him to a long, old corridor no guest knew existed. This part of the hotel was built decades before the new owners renovated, she explained. Some doors were sealed, some left unused. Takayama's breathing tightened. You think my daughter is down here? I think someone used this space to move her. She placed a hand on a rusted metal door. A small piece of paper was wedged into the crack. Her blood ran cold. It was another hotel note. A child's handwriting. 3 words this time. Help me, please. Takayama's knees buckled. Adana caught his arm. Sir, she whispered, voice trembling. We will find her, I promise you. But even as she spoke, she sensed movement behind them. Soft, silent, calculated. She spun. A shadow moved at the end of the hallway. Watching, listening, and then it slipped away. They chased the shadow through the underbelly of the hotel. Storage tunnels, obsolete chambers, abandoned service rooms. But the figure was fast. Almost too fast. Who are you? Takayama demanded, breathless. A myth, Adana whispered. A myth made real. They reached a locked maintenance room. Fresh scratches lined the metal. Something small, a smudge of pink, was stuck to the latch. Takayama collapsed to his knees. It was a piece of Aiko's bracelet. Break it, he ordered. Security slammed into the door. It didn't budge. He shouted again, desperate. Break it. The 3rd hit cracked it open. The room was dark, silent. Aiko was not there. Instead, the walls were covered in photographs. Dozens. Hundreds. All of them were of hotel children. Children who had once visited. Children who had lived. Children who had vanished. Takayama reached for the wall with shaking hands. No, no, no. These cases were all closed. They said these children ran away. They said. They lied. Adana whispered. Tears blurred her vision, not because of the pictures, but because of the one photo in the center. A smiling Nigerian woman. Her mother. She was younger, radiant, holding a small child. Adana. Her knees buckled. No, she choked.
Manga.
Takayama turned sharply. Your mother. My mother worked here when I was little, before she took me to Japan. They always said she quit suddenly. They said she walked away. But now she knew. Her mother didn't leave. She was taken. Just like Aiko. Just like the other children. Just like the victims of the Black Ghost. Takayama touched her shoulder gently. You shouldn't blame yourself. She wiped her face. I'm not blaming myself, sir. I'm going to find who did this. Behind the wall of photographs, Adana noticed something strange. One tile was offset. She pushed it softly. Click. A hidden panel slid open. A dark passage stretched beyond it. Takayama whispered. He built an entire route inside the hotel. No, Adana corrected, stepping inside. He used one that was already here. The original building, old, colonial, full of blind corridors and secret passages. They walked inside the tunnel. The air was colder, damp, old. Aiko's soft crying echoed faintly through the walls. Takayama froze. That's her. Adana grabbed his hand. Follow me. Quietly. The girl's voice grew clearer. Papa. Papa, help. Takayama nearly sprinted, but Adana held him back. There was a shape at the far end of the tunnel. A figure crouched beside a small body. A little girl, Aiko bound, eyes frightened. The figure turned slowly toward them. A man in a hotel uniform. His face was calm. Too calm. He smiled warmly, as if greeting guests. Hello, he whispered softly. You found me. Takayama lunged. Adana grabbed him. Wait. The man laughed gently. You understand Japanese, don't you? He said to Adana. Her breath hitched. Yes. Ah, perfect. Then tell him, he said, pointing at Takayama, that the police cannot protect him. Adana shook her head. Why did you take her? He smiled sadly. Because the world is cruel to children with power. And I deliver them to a better place. Takayama roared. Where is that place? The man shrugged. Somewhere you cannot reach. Adana's skin crawled. His eyes were wrong. Dead. Empty. The eyes of someone who had done this for many years. He reached for Aiko. Adana moved first. She lunged, slamming him into the wall. Takayama grabbed Aiko, pulling her behind him. The man was stronger than he looked. Much stronger. He laughed as they struggled. You've grown since the last time I saw you, Adana. Her blood stopped. What? You were small the last time I took someone you loved. Her vision went red. She slammed her elbow into his throat. He choked, stumbled, dropped a knife. She kicked it away, grappling him in the narrow corridor. He grabbed her hair and smashed her head into the wall. Darkness swam in her eyes. Adana! Takayama shouted. Get up! She tried to stand. The black ghost raised the knife again. But Aiko screamed, distracting him for 1 second. 1 second was all she needed. Adana drove her knee into his chest. He collapsed backward. She grabbed the knife, pinned him down with all her strength. Why? She sobbed, pressing the blade to his throat. Why take my mother? He smiled through bloodied teeth. Because she was looking for me. Adana's world shattered. She pressed harder, just enough to draw blood. But she didn't kill him. Takayama stepped forward and pulled her off. He deserves worse than death, he whispered. Let justice deal with him. The man laughed weakly. You think justice will reach me in time? He snapped something on his belt. Adana's eyes widened. A bomb, she breathed. Takayama grabbed Aiko. Run! The explosion ripped through the tunnel. Adana and the Takayamas tumbled through the collapsing passage as fire swallowed the walls behind them. Dust choked the air. Flames roared. Debris fell. But somehow, miraculously, they crawled out of the tunnel alive. Security dragged them to safety. When the smoke cleared, the black ghost's body was gone. Nothing left. No remains. No proof. Only the wall of photographs charred at the edges. But one picture survived the flames. A photograph of Adana's mother. She held it in trembling hands. Takayama turned to her, his daughter clinging to his leg. "You saved her," he whispered. "You saved many children tonight." Adana shook her head. "I failed to find my mother." Takayama raised her chin. "You found the truth, and now we find the rest. Together." She blinked. "Together." He nodded firmly. "I want you to come with us. Work with us. Help us uncover the rest of his network. Aiko trusts you. I trust you." Aiko looked up with tearful eyes. "Adana, please." For the first time in years, Adana felt seen. Not as a maid. Not as a girl in a uniform. But as someone who mattered. She swallowed hard. "I'll come," she whispered. The next morning, as the Takayama private jet prepared to take off, with Adana boarded as well, hotel security found something chilling at the end of the collapsed tunnel. A message carved into the concrete. Freshly carved. As if the writer had survived. It read, "I will come for her again," and painted beneath it, a black silhouette of a faceless ghost. Adana stared at the message before boarding the plane. She wasn't afraid. Not anymore. She whispered in Japanese, "Come then. This time, I will be ready." And the jet doors closed, carrying them toward a future filled with danger, secrets, and a ghost who wasn't finished with her yet. The end.
Thank you for watching this story to the end. If you enjoyed this story, you will surely love the next one. It's as crazier and more intriguing as you can ever imagine. So do check it out. Click on the image showing on your screen right now to watch the next one. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.